What's good, y'all? Welcome back to the channel. Double A have here. So, I recently did a video about the whole mask thing, and I think that's probably the only time I've ever addressed the whole Rona issue. I don't want to say the full word or all of that stuff because I don't want this video to be flagged. Because we live in a time where there's no free speech at all, so don't be fooled. But so we found out a lot of things, right? So I'm making this video to go over the things that we found out and also point out how certain media outlets refuse to talk about those things. Now, I'm not saying that because I'm shocked by that. No, not at all. I'm not shocked by the news that came out through the emails. If you know me or if you've spoken to me about this, then I've been pretty consistent in my analysis of what was going on. Like for instance, the whole bat crap. Come on now, let's stop. Let's stop. When Trump said, the Chinese virus, it came from China. It was created in China. Yes, come on, duh. But everyone was trying to. There's a whole bunch of backlash on that, and I never understood why. Outside of people, I hate to use this term, but snowflakes and people on the political left trying to just use that as ammunition to get Trump out of there. So, and I'm not sitting here saying that as a Trump supporter. I'm just saying that, as an objective viewer. But, with the mask, that was always foolish to me, and then the vaccine. It was always like, it just seemed, I think about it. If a virus were to, evolve organically into something so deadly, or not even, it wasn't even that deadly, but that's something that, infectious, I don't think that they would be able to come up with a vaccine that fast, let alone 3 different types of vaccines that fast, without already knowing a little bit of the framework. And then people might say, well, it's a quote-unquote SARS disease. Well, yeah, but if it evolved so vastly, again, I'm not sure you'd be able to come up with 3 different vaccines in that small amount of time, like we have. So everything just seemed fishy to me. And I've stated before that, I haven't gotten the vaccine. I don't intend to get the vaccine. People that have gotten a vaccine, look, again, hey, you have one life to live. You got to do what you think is best to extend your life. Okay. So, I'm not here knocking anyone that got the vaccine, especially with all the media hype behind it. I'm not going to, knock anyone that got it. But in the same breath, though, those same people shouldn't knock people that don't have it. And like I said, I don't. And I do not intend to get it because, again, these vaccines are new. These 3 different vaccines. You don't know anything about we just found out the truth about the freaking virus itself, right? That it was, humanly modified. So therefore, we don't know what they did to modify it, besides the RNA, that can affect your gene structure and your makeup, right? And we don't even know the long-term effects of that in itself. 1, right? That's number 1. Number 2, we don't really know what's in the vaccine. And also the fact that the vaccine is being pushed even to people that have already had COVID, which, most things in life, if you already get it, you're immune to it. Like you're not going to quote unquote get it again. Well, with COVID, they're trying to tell people that already had it to get the vaccine. They're trying to make everyone get the fucking vaccine. And I don't know about y'all, but I know about me. And whenever someone is trying so hard to, quote unquote, do a good thing for me, I don't trust that person. Okay? I don't trust it. I don't know what's in that vaccine. I don't know. I'll take my chances, with what I do know. And that is eating right, being healthy, obviously taking your vitamins and, not having poor hygiene, not always having your goddamn fingers in your mouth or whatever. You know what I mean? Sucking your thumb, biting your nails, all that stuff. You know. Well, what I will say is this. I will say this. Outside of some studies that may indicate that the mask can actually speed up the transmission of COVID. Outside of those, because again, I've read about that, but not quite sure how accurate that is. But then again, who the hell knows? Because the media is putting out what they want to put out. So, outside of that, the mask, I would say, did help. Now, not helping in the way of, oh, I'm not going to breathe in the COVID because I have this mask on. No, not help like that. But I say help in the sense of, again, there's a lot of people that that are alive today that probably would not be, or would have definitely got COVID much sooner had the mask not been there, solely because people always putting their hands in their fucking mouth. Always. Nasty. They pick their nose, they eat their boogers. They bite their nails. They suck on their thumb. They eat some food, they lick their fingers. You know what I'm saying? Like all of this stuff, and having the mask and all the extra sanitizer around, I will say that, like, in combination, that definitely helped. But back to the video. So this, as you can see, NPR, 5 things we learned from Anthony Fauci's emails. Now, you can read this whole thing. I'm not going to read it because I already, skimmed through it. And it doesn't it doesn't reference any of the stuff that we actually learned from the emails, which is that Fauci knew that the Rona was man modified. Number one, that he understood that if you had it already, that you don't need to get the vaccine, that the masks were pretty much pointless, as pointed out by Rand Paul recently. It doesn't say any of that. And this is NPR. And NPR, they come out with some good stuff sometimes, but all of this is politicized, man. Everything's politicized. Dr. Fauci says publicly released email about lab leak is being misconstrued. Okay, yeah. Your email's being misconstrued. At least CNN is saying a little bit more than NPR. Let's see. I haven't read this one yet. See, it says scientific evidence supports a natural origin for the coronavirus and not a lab release. That's false. That's false. Thousands of emails from and to Fauci during the pandemic's early days were published. Here's what they show about him. That's nonsense, Fauci responded. I don't even see how they get that from that email. Fauci then emphasized that the email was sent to him, and he noted the origins of the coronavirus are still uncertain. I've always said, and will say today to you, John, that I still believe the most likely origin is from an animal species to a human. But I keep an absolutely open mind. Okay, sure. All right. So it looks like they only took about 10,000 emails from me. Of course, I remember all 10,000 of them. Give me a break, he said. He doesn't remember what's in redacted. Okay. So obviously CNN isn't going to talk about what actually went down. Let's see if anyone's going to cover the truth regarding these emails. I mean, what they actually said. This is interesting. All right, I'm going to see if I can try to pull up the emails for you guys. That'd be easier way for me to just show you guys. I don't want his damn email address. I want emails. Let's see.
Feeling the pressure of a big expense? Credit Karma can help you find a little relief. Find 0% intro A.
Good evening and welcome to Tucker Carlson tonight. So one has to look really closely at...
All right. The unusual features of the virus make up a really small part of the genome, so one has to look really closely at all the sequences to see that some of the features look engineered. And this is from Christian Anderson to Dr. Fauci, January 31st, 2020.
all the sequences to see that some of the features potentially look engineered. The next day, on February 1st, So one has to look really closely at all the sequences to see that some of the features potentially look engineered. The next day, on February 1st, Tony Fauci wrote back, "Thanks, Christian. Talk soon on the call." Fauci then sent an urgent email to his deputy, a man called Hugh Auchincloss. The subject of that email, in all caps, was important. Quote, "Hugh, it is essential that we speak this AM. Keep your cell phone on. Read this paper as well as the email that I will forward. You will have tasks today that must be done." Attached to that email was a document. It was entitled, quote, "Barrick, Shi et al., Nature Medicine, SARS Gain of Function .pdf." Now, the Barrick in the attachment referred to Ralph Barrick, a virologist based in the U.S. who collaborated with the Wuhan Institute of Virology. Barrick worked with a woman called Dr. Shi Shengli, known as the Bat Lady because she manipulates coronaviruses that infect bats. She was the she in the attachment. Now, keep in mind that during the questioning from Senator Rand Paul of Kentucky fairly recently, Tony Fauci denied that this same Ralph Barrick had conducted gain-of-function research. Again, this is the Ralph Barrick in Fauci's attachment, which was entitled Barrick, Shi et al., SARS Gain-of-Function .pdf. And yet, under oath before the United States Congress, Fauci denied that.
Carolina. And if you look at the grant and you...
Twitter. It was in Fauci's own emails. In retrospect, that looks a lot like perjury. And yet they seem determined to hide those facts from the public. Again, why? On the afternoon of February 1st last year, Fauci held a conference call with several top virologists. Most of the details of that call remained hidden from public view. They've been reminded everyone on the call that what they said was top secret. Quote, "Information and discussion is shared in total confidence and not to be shared until agreement on next steps," end quote. In other emails, Jeremy Farrar passed along an article from the website Zero Hedge, which is that corona came from a pangolin. And yet for the crime of saying that out, why couldn't you suggest that? The fact checkers wouldn't allow it. Why wouldn't they? Because Tony Fauci assured the tech monopolies that the coronavirus could not have been man-made. And so the tech monopolies shut down the topic. Watch Fauci lie.
Oh, man.
The other thing I like about StreamYard is that if there's ever a glitch...
A group of highly qualified evolutionary virologists looked at the sequences there and the sequences in bats as they evolve, and the mutations.
And he up there lying.
To get to the point where it is now.
Between the president and the vice president up there lying.
With a jump of a species from an animal to a human.
That was April 17th, 2020, very shortly into the course of this pandemic. At that point, what Tony Fauci just asserted as known could not conclusively have been known. That was a lie. Tony Fauci suggested that he knew because top researchers had decided conclusively that this must have jumped naturally from an animal to a human being. But again, at that point, he could not have known that. That was dishonest. 2 days after he said that, one of the virologists that Tony Fauci had funded to conduct dangerous coronavirus experiments in Wuhan wrote to thank him for the help. That man, a man called Peter Daszak, complained to Fauci that the American tax dollars he'd taken for these experiments were being, quote, publicly targeted by Fox News reporters. Yet Daszak remained grateful for Tony Fauci's support. Quote, I just wanted to say a personal thank you on behalf of our staff and collaborators, end quote. Now, strangely, most of this specific email from Daszak to Fauci has been redacted, and it was redacted under FOIA Section B7A. That specific exemption to the FOIA law applies to, quote, records or information compiled for law enforcement purposes, but only to the extent that production of those documents could reasonably be expected to interfere with enforcement proceedings. Are Peter Daszak and Tony Fauci under a criminal investigation? We can only hope they are. They certainly deserve it. At this point, we can't say for sure. We do know that Fauci hasn't simply lied about the Zeke Emanuel wrote to Fauci to ask a very simple question, one that we've asked countless times. Are people who have recovered from COVID generally immune from getting infected with COVID once again? That applies to about 100 million Americans, so it's not a small question. Fauci's response, quote, no evidence in this regard, but you would assume that there would be substantial immunity post-infection. Well, yes, you would assume that. We always have. And in fact, studies now show it is true. People who have had COVID and recovered almost never get sick again from COVID, so they don't need to be vaccinated. Yet to this day, Tony Fauci has never admitted that in public. In his email to Zeke Emanuel, he admitted...
And why not? Why not admit that? Because you want people to take the vaccine? Look, people, you can't be surprised that, viruses and diseases and stuff like that, many of which are man-made. Okay? That is kind of like a human curse, to be so inquisitive and, fund all these researches, like in movies you see that a lot. They'll be researching, and then you get this one person that's obsessed with trying to crack the code, and then the motherfucker creates a goddamn a killer virus or whatever the case may be. Right? That happens all the time, and it happens in real life too. Okay, but people don't want to believe that for some reason. But you can't be shocked. For instance, there is a thing called population control. So at the very least, already, COVID has succeeded in that, especially in China, where they have the biggest population, quote unquote, issues. A lot of these countries really aren't worried about the casualties that they suffer. A lot of them really aren't, man. They're trying to get rid of a lot of these people. And that's another reason why I don't trust the freaking vaccine. Who the hell knows what's in it and what's going to happen long term? I don't know. Oh, well, you've taken up the vaccine and stuff like that. Look, man, look. First and foremost, I'm not having that discussion with anyone that doesn't know what they're talking about. So anyway, like, what I mean is, like, you're a layman person. No, I'm not just going to have that conversation about to take the vaccine or not, because you don't know enough about it. And then if I have the conversation with the people that do know about it, obviously I don't really trust them because they knew about the virus and all that stuff before and weren't willing to be transparent about it. So obviously, that's where it stalemates. But I just wanted to make this video to get that out, because if you look up, like we did on Google, Dr. Fauci, everything that they talk about regarding his emails is all like, oh, he responds to people that email him and stuff like that. And that's not really what the email said. It said, some other things that Tucker actually went over. And does it surprise me that Tucker did? No. I do know that there's some people that they only watch CNN or they only watch MSNBC and stuff like that. And they only watch Fox. You got to watch it all and read between the lines, because, the truth, for some reason, and in mass not mass media. That's my podcast name. And the mass media, and corporate media, it works almost like fluid. So it'll flow from one side to the other when it suits that side. So you have to understand that, and then again, you have to look at both sides and then find the truth as it flows in the middle. So obviously, there's a lot of things that Fox News. It depends. It depends. It depends on what the topic is. If you should think that what they're saying is has any hint of truth to it at all, and the same applies for the other media outlets. But that's how you got to do it. You got to read articles and stuff like that to find out. I had to go through a lot to figure it out before I was able to make this video. But again, like, these are all things that I already had a hunch on, and it's just these things just confirm it. But again, the more you know, right? So I'd say y'all.